The night rotation at Voss Tower starts at 6 p.m., when the last of the day's shift employees badge out through the revolving doors, and the building exhales into the particular quiet of a 60-story glass and steel structure that has stopped performing for the day. Lena Marsh knows this quiet well. She has been arriving into it for 11 months, rolling her car off the service elevator, checking her floor assignment, moving through corridors that smell of other people's work and other people's ambition, and the specific industrial cleanliness of a building that costs more per square foot than most people earn in a year. She is 30 years old, light skin, dark brown hair pulled back tightly under a blue cap, slim but strong from the work in the specific way of people whose strength is functional rather than cultivated. She is the kind of woman whose competence announces itself without her needing to say anything. In the way she moves through a space, the way she sequences her tasks, the way she leaves a floor so clean that its cleanliness is invisible, which is exactly the point. Voss Tower houses the city's most expensive law firms on floors 3 through 20, investment banks on floors 21 through 38, and on the 42nd floor, a private holdings company called Voss Capital. Nobody on the cleaning staff asks about Voss Capital. The men who stand outside its doors at all hours, changing shifts with precision that suggests military training or something adjacent to it, are the specific kind of men who make curiosity feel unwise. Lena cleans the 42nd floor twice a week on her rotation, and she does it efficiently and without making eye contact, and she does not think about what happens in that office during the hours she is not cleaning it. Tonight, she has a more pressing concern. Noah is asleep on the 41st floor. He has been sleeping there for 3 weeks, on a folded moving blanket she brought from home, in the cleaning supply room between the mop sink and the chemical shelf, with his stuffed dinosaur Rex tucked under his chin, and the door latched from outside in a way that she checks every 40 minutes with the specific calibrated anxiety of a mother who is doing something she knows is not ideal and is doing it anyway, because the alternative is not working at all. Her babysitter, Mrs. Patrice from the 3rd floor of their building, a woman who smelled of lavender and asked Noah about his day every single time, moved to Columbus with her daughter 6 weeks ago. The new daycare's waiting list does not resolve until next month. Lena cannot not work. The math does not permit not working. So Noah sleeps on the 41st floor, and Lena works the floors above and below and checks the door every 40 minutes and tells herself this is temporary, and it is absolutely temporary. It just needs to be temporary for a little longer. She is on the 43rd floor, on her knees cleaning a baseboard that the day's shift missed, when she realizes she has not checked the door in 55 minutes. She stands up. She takes the stairs down 2 flights. The elevator is too slow tonight. Every second it takes feels like a second she cannot afford. And she pushes through the stairwell door onto the 41st floor and walks quickly to the supply room and puts her hand on the latch. And it gives immediately, swings open, and the blanket is there, and Rex is there, and Noah is not. She does not panic. She does not permit herself to panic, because panic costs seconds she needs for running. She turns and goes back to the stairwell. She looks up. 1 flight. Stairwell doors don't need key cards, just a push. She knows this because she goes through them 40 times a night. A 4-year-old knows a push when he sees one. She takes the stairs to the 42nd floor. The corridor is empty and thick carpeted, and the doors on either side are dark, except for one at the very end, a faint line of light visible under the heavy wood. Gold handle. The door that she cleans around twice a week without ever thinking about what is on the other side of it when it's occupied. The door is slightly open. She does not stop. She does not breathe. She pushes through it. The office is the largest room she has ever entered at 11:15 on a Thursday night in 11 months of night rotation at Voss Tower. Floor-to-ceiling windows on 2 walls show all of Chicago below. The grid of lights, Lake Michigan in the distance, the sky that is a particular dark orange, a city that never fully goes dark. The carpet under her feet is so thick she cannot hear herself crossing it. Behind a desk the size of a dining table, in a chair that probably costs more than her car, a young man sits completely still. He has a glass of something dark in his hand. He is not looking at anything specific. His gaze is directed at the windows, but it is the gaze of someone looking through glass rather than at it, looking at something that is not in this room. He is Korean American. She registers. Sharp, angular jaw, dark almond eyes, short, clean black hair, the kind of lean, broad-shouldered build that suggests someone who does not have to demonstrate his physical capacity, because it is understood. There are tattoos at his collar, a crane on his neck, more disappearing into his suit jacket sleeve. He is 32, maybe 33, with the specific quality of a man who has passed whatever he has been going through tonight and has arrived at the flat country on the other side of it. He is not alone. In front of his desk, this side of his desk, on the thick carpet, close enough to the desk that he could reach out and touch the small dark head, Noah stands with Rex tucked under his arm, looking at the man with the direct, uncomplicated attention of a 4-year-old who has not yet learned that other people's grief is something you are supposed to walk past. Lena goes completely still in the doorway. She arrived with her mouth already open, the beginning of his name already formed. She does not say it, because in the second she takes to process the scene, Noah standing, the man looking at Noah, the quality of the silence between them, which is not the silence of danger, but of something she cannot immediately name. She understands that she is looking at something that is already in the middle of happening, and that interrupting it will cost something she cannot calculate yet. "You look sad," Noah says. The man looks at him. He looks at this small boy standing in front of his desk with a stuffed dinosaur under his arm and blue eyes and a gap-toothed expression of total serious concern. And he looks at him the way a person looks at something that has reached them by surprise in a place they thought was sealed. "What are you doing here?" the man asks. His voice is low and even, the kind that does not need volume. "I woke up," Noah says. "The door was open. What are you looking at?" "Nothing." Noah's expression does not accept this. You were looking at something. People who look at nothing look different from people who look at something sad. A silence. "How old are you?" "4." Noah holds up 4 fingers with the precision of someone who considers this information important. "Almost 5. What is your name?" "Kai." "Why are you sad, Kai?" "I lost someone." Noah is quiet for a moment. He holds Rex a little tighter, which is what he does when he is thinking about something that matters. "My mom says," he says slowly, "that people we lose don't really go away. They just go somewhere we can't see yet." Kai Voss looks at this 4-year-old boy for a long moment. He is the founder and chief executive of Voss Capital. He has been in this office since 7 p.m. because today is the 5th anniversary of the night his younger brother Sue died. Sue, who was 26 and laughed at everything and argued for sport and stepped into a retaliation hit that came for Kai without hesitation, without time to think, without asking whether this was how he wanted to spend what turned out to be the last seconds he had. Kai has been living inside that specific debt for 5 years, the weight of a brother's life laid down for the impossible accounting of it, and he has been sitting in this office tonight because the apartment was worse and people were wrong, and the specific flatness of having gone through everything that needed to be gone through and come out the other side of it with nothing. But the anniversary again was something he needed to be alone with. He has been alone with it for 4 hours. And then a 4-year-old pushed through his door and told him that the people we lose don't really go away. Something in Kai's chest, something that has been sealed for 5 years under the specific pressure of guilt and grief and a life he built on top of both of them, opens, just slightly. Just enough. Lena steps into the room. She does not know exactly how long she has been standing in the doorway. Long enough. She crosses the carpet and puts her hand on Noah's shoulder and looks at Kai Voss and says, "I am so sorry. He was supposed to be asleep. I left the door. He was not supposed to be anywhere near this floor." "Is this your son?" Kai asks. "Yes. I am so sorry. It will never." "Sit down," he says. He says it without sharpness. He says it without the implication of a command, just an invitation stated plainly by a man who means it and does not have a softer way of saying it. Lena looks at Noah. Noah looks at her with the expression of a child who has assessed the situation and found it acceptable and wants her to know this. She sits down. Kai looks at them both, this woman in a cleaning uniform with her dark hair coming loose and her composure held together by something that is clearly costing her, and this boy who walked into his office at 11 p.m. and told him exactly what he needed to hear. And he feels, for the first time since 7 this evening, something other than the specific flatness of the anniversary. He feels of all things present. "What is your name?" he asks the boy. "Noah." Noah says. He holds up Rex. "This is Rex." Hello, Rex, Kai says. Noah approves of this response. He sits down on the carpet in front of the desk, cross-legged, with Rex in his lap, as though he has decided that this is where he is for the time being and the adults can sort out the details. Lena watches her son settle onto the carpet of the most powerful office in the building and looks at Kai Voss and waits for the thing that is going to go wrong. It does not go wrong. She sits on the edge of the chair across from Kai Voss with Noah now in her lap and the specific controlled composure of a woman running several calculations simultaneously. Fired, not fired, dangerous, not dangerous. Is this man going to make a call that ends with someone in a uniform arriving? How fast can she get Noah out of this building to the service exit if she needs to? What is the fastest route from the 42nd floor to the street on foot if the elevators are being monitored? Kai does not make any of those things happen. He asks how long she has been with the cleaning company. 11 months. He asks if she has always worked the night rotation. Yes. He asks about Noah, age, school, whether he is always like this. She answers the first two carefully, and then the third one stops her. What do you mean always like this? She asks. Kai looks at Noah, who is currently conducting a systematic examination of the items visible on the desk. A glass, a lighter, a folded piece of paper, a framed photograph of a young man who looks like a younger version of Kai. Touching nothing, just cataloging with the focused attention of a small inspector, like he is the only person in the room who is not pretending. Kai says. She looks at her son. Something in her face does a thing it does when she is not managing it. Softens, opens, becomes briefly entirely hers. Always, she says, since he could talk. He sees something and he says it. I stopped trying to teach him not to. Good. Kai says. Noah looks up at the framed photograph. He looks at Kai. Is that your brother? He asks. Kai is quiet for a moment. Yes. He looks like you, but happier. Noah says, not unkindly. Kai says, he was happier than me. Noah considers this with the gravity of a 4-year-old making an assessment. Maybe you should try to be happier, he says. He would probably want that. Lena opens her mouth to redirect this and catches Kai's expression and closes it again. His expression is not the expression of a man who is offended. It is the expression of a man who has just been told something true by the last person he expected to tell it to him, and is sitting with the specific quality of it. You're probably right. Kai says. Noah nods. He has delivered his assessment. He returns to the desk inventory. Lena watches this and does not say anything and waits. Kai looks at her. How long has he been sleeping on the cleaning floor? She does not flinch from it. 3 weeks. My babysitter relocated without adequate notice. The daycare waiting list resolves next month. I do not have another option that involves keeping my job. Does building management know? No. He nods. He asks nothing else about it. He does not perform judgment, and he does not perform sympathy. He simply receives the information and files it and moves on, which she finds, sitting in this office at 11:30 at night in her cleaning uniform. Unexpectedly respectful. 2 days later, she is called to the building management office. She walks there from the service entrance with the specific dread of someone who has been waiting for the delayed consequence to arrive, and is noting with grim precision that it has. She sits across the building manager and is told that her cleaning contract has been upgraded, not terminated. Upgraded. She is being transferred from the general night rotation to a private cleaning contract with Voss Capital on the 42nd floor exclusively. The rate is 3 times her current hourly. The hours are 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., Monday through Friday. She stares at the building manager. There must be a mistake, she says. There is no mistake, the building manager says, with the specific neutrality of someone delivering a message they did not originate and will not be elaborating on. 9 to 3. Daytime hours. Noah can go to a real daycare. He can start the school down the street from their apartment that she has walked past 40 times and never gone into because the fees were not something she could look at directly. She goes upstairs. She knocks on the heavy door with the gold handle. Kai tells her to come in. She stands across the desk from him, the same desk Noah sat in front of 2 nights ago, and she tells him she cannot accept charity. She says it clearly and without apology, because it is the truest thing she knows about herself, and she is not going to perform gratitude for something she did not earn, just because the man offered is someone she cannot afford to offend. Kai looks at her. He does not look offended. He looks, if anything, like someone who is expecting this and finds it appropriate. He tells her it is not charity. The 42nd floor requires a specific kind of professional, someone discreet, thorough, observant, and trustworthy. In 11 months at Voss Tower, she has demonstrated all four without being asked to. The rate reflects the confidentiality requirements of the floor. He tells her she is welcome to say no. She tells him she does not understand why he is doing this. He is quiet for a moment, the quiet of a man deciding whether to give the true answer or the useful one. He gives the true one. Your son told me the people we lose don't really go away, he says, that they just go somewhere we can't see yet. He looks at his hands on the desk. I have been trying to believe that for 5 years. I did not know I was waiting for someone to say it to me until he said it. A pause. That is why I am doing this. It is not charity. It is a debt I am trying to partially repay. She looks at him for a long time. She thinks about Noah on the carpet with Rex in his lap, cataloging the items on the desk of the most powerful man in the building with the total confidence of a child who does not know he is supposed to be afraid. I will need the terms in writing, she says. My assistant will send them today. My copy, not a copy of yours. Of course. She takes the contract. That evening, she sits across from Noah at their kitchen table and tells him about the new hours and the new rate and the school down the street with a playground she has walked past 40 times. Noah eats his dinner and listens and thinks about it. Does the school have a sandpit? He asks. She laughs. The real one, the one she does not always get to, and tells him she will find out. Okay, he says. Then, probably yes. She holds him that night after he falls asleep, her arm across his small back, his breath even and certain in the dark of their apartment. And she thinks about a man sitting alone in the highest office in a 60-story building on the anniversary of the worst night of his life, and a 4-year-old who climbed one flight of stairs and walked through a door and said exactly the right thing without knowing it was the right thing. She thinks she should be more frightened of Kai Voss than she is. She has been trying to understand since she walked out of that office. Why she is not. If this story already has you feeling everything, you are watching Echo True Stories, and we are just getting started. Smash the like button, subscribe to Echo True Stories, and share this video right now. Drop a comment below. What did you think when Noah said the people we lose don't really go away? Because next chapter is about to show you what happened next. The 42nd floor is quiet in a way the other floors are not. It is not the quiet of emptiness. There are always people moving through it, calls being taken in low voices, men arriving and departing with a specific efficiency of people who have been told exactly where to be and for how long. It is the quiet of a floor where everyone present understands that some things are not said out loud, and that the value of discretion is not theoretical but practical and immediate. Lena moves through it with the focused efficiency she brings to every space. She is thorough in a way that requires no instruction, and discreet in a way that requires no reminder. She does not try to decode the phone calls she hears through closed doors. She does not ask about the men outside the office whose rotation changes with precision that is not standard building security. She cleans what needs cleaning, and she does it well, and she leaves the floor exactly as she found it except cleaner, and within 3 weeks the men on the rotation have stopped watching her cross the carpet with the particular attention they gave her the first week, which she registers as the specific professional achievement it is. Kai notices her competence the way he notices everything, precisely and without making it a thing. Noah begins visiting the 42nd floor on Fridays. This starts because the daycare closes at noon on Fridays, a half day, a policy she did not know about when she enrolled him, and her contract hours extend to 3, and the gap between noon and 3 needs filling. Kai's driver, a large, quiet man named Marcus who drives a black SUV with the practiced invisibility of someone who has been driving powerful people for a long time, begins collecting Noah from the daycare on Fridays without it being formally arranged. It simply happens, the way things happen when someone with resources and a specific intention allows them to happen, and Lena accepts it because the alternative is leaving Noah in the daycare lobby for 3 hours, and that is not an alternative. She notices by the third Friday that Kai's 2:30 calls have been moved to 2. She does not comment on this. Noah treats the 42nd floor the way he treats every space that interests him, as a place that belongs to him by right of his attention. He comes through the door on Fridays with Rex under his arm and his backpack, and the specific settled authority of someone returning to a place they consider theirs. He puts Rex on the corner of the desk. He performs his inspection. He reports his findings. The view is still the best. The chair behind the desk still spins, which he tested on the second Friday, and which remains the office's greatest feature in his assessment. There is a new cactus on the windowsill, small in a terracotta pot. That was not there the previous week. Noah examines it with the focus of a botanist. Cacti store what they need inside themselves, he tells Kai. That is why they survive when everything else dies. My mom read me that. Kai looks at this 4-year-old boy crouching beside a cactus and files what he has just said in the specific place. He files things that are more than they appear to be. That is a useful quality. Kai says, "Yes." Noah agrees. "You should be more like a cactus." "I will work on that." Noah nods, satisfied, and moves on to the next item of interest. He asks questions with the systematic relentlessness of a 4-year-old for whom the world is still primarily a place of unexplained phenomena. Why does the city look different in the rain? Because the rain is a lens, and every lens changes what you see through it. Why do the men outside the door never smile? They smile, just not at the door. Why does Kai have a tattoo of a crane on his neck? Because where my family is from, Kai says, a crane means a long life. My grandmother told me to put it somewhere I would always see it. Noah looks at the crane for a long moment. It is on the left side of his neck, black ink on light tan skin, wings slightly spread. Did she know you would need to last a long time? He asks. Kai is quiet. I think she did, he says. I think she knew before I did. Noah nods. He files this. He moves to the next item. On the fourth Friday, in the middle of a very detailed account of something that happened at school involving a boy named Carter and a disputed ownership of a red crayon, Noah falls asleep. He falls asleep mid-sentence, the way children do. Between one word and the next, the narration stops and his head drops, and he is simply gone, with the absolute totality of a small person whose body has decided the day is complete. He is on the office couch, shoes still on, Rex beside him, mouth slightly open, the red crayon dispute unresolved. Kai looks at him for a moment. He crosses the room. He takes off his jacket, the dark suit jacket he has been wearing since 6 this morning, and he lays it over Noah with the careful deliberateness of a man trying not to wake anyone, and he stands there for a moment looking at this small, sleeping face. He does not name what he feels. He does not try to. It is simply present in his chest, warm and certain, the way things are when they are true and do not require analysis. He calls his attorney that evening and tells him to move on the matter they discussed in March that he told him to put on hold. Lena stays late on Fridays. This is not formally arranged either. It begins because she has paperwork she can do at the small desk outside Kai's office, and Fridays are when she catches up on it, and it makes sense logistically to be near Noah until he wakes up and Marcus takes him home. It becomes something else when she realizes she is not doing the paperwork on Fridays with any particular efficiency. She is sitting at the desk outside Kai's office because she has found, without deciding to, that this is a place she wants to be. They talk in the late Friday afternoons when the floor is emptied and the light through the windows is going from white to gold, and Noah is either napping or drawing at the low table in the corner. First about practical things, the week, the building, the cactus which Noah has named Gerald. And then about other things, the way conversations drift when the people having them are not performing anything. He tells her about Sue, not the mechanics of how Sue died. She does not ask about that, and he does not offer it. He tells her about Sue as a person, the laugh, which was too loud for any room Sue was ever in, and which Kai understood was one of the best things about him about 10 years too late. The arguments. Sue would argue about anything, including things he agreed with, purely for the pleasure of the exercise, and he was good at it in the infuriating way of people who are good at things they should not be encouraged in. The gap. The specific shape of the gap that a younger brother leaves in the world when he is gone. The way it is not one gap, but many. The gap at the table, the gap on the phone, the gap in every future that was supposed to contain him. She tells him about her mother, still alive, in Cincinnati, a woman who has spent 4 years finding ways to love Lena without fully forgiving her for Noah. Not for Noah's existence, which she would never say out loud, but for the circumstances of it, for the absence of a husband and a plan, and the specific shape of life she wanted for her daughter. The love and the disappointment so woven together that Lena cannot receive one without the other, and has learned, slowly, to take what is good and not ask for the whole thing. She does not tell him about Noah's father, but she tells him about the loneliness that made that night possible. The specific loneliness of a 23-year-old who was doing everything right and could not understand why doing everything right felt like being alone in a room with no windows. And he listens with a full, unhurried attention she has come to understand is simply how he listens, as though what she is saying is the only thing happening right now, as though he has nowhere else to be. On the 6th Friday, she comes to the office door and stops. Kai is on the floor, in his suit, cross-legged on the thick carpet with Noah across from him, both of them holding superhero figures. Kai is Spider-Man. Noah has Superman. They have been distributed with the absolute authority of a 4-year-old who has assessed which figure belongs to which person and has made the correct call. Noah is narrating a battle scenario of considerable tactical complexity. Kai is following it with complete engaged attention of a man who has decided that this is the most important thing happening in the world at this particular moment and has allocated himself fully to it. Spider-Man is apparently in a difficult position. Kai looks at the figure in his hand with the expression of a man consulting a situation report. "What are my options?" he asks. Noah considers this with the gravity of a general. "You can climb the building," he says, "or you can call Superman. But calling Superman is only if you really need it. And do I really need it?" "Not yet," Noah says, "but maybe soon." Lena stands in the doorway. She came to say it is time to go. She has her bag on her shoulder and her keys in her hand and the sentence already formed. She does not say it. She stands in the doorway of the most powerful office in Voss Tower and watches a 32-year-old Korean-American Mafia boss sit cross-legged on his own carpet, holding a Spider-Man figure and following her son's tactical instructions with complete seriousness. And something happens at her chest that she is not going to name right now, because naming would require her to be ready for it. And she is not ready for it. She watches them for a long time. Kai looks up and sees her in the doorway. He looks at her face. He looks back at Noah. He does not say anything, and she does not say anything in Noah without looking up from the battle scenario. Says, "Mom, Spider-Man needs 2 more minutes." "Okay," she says, 2 more minutes. She leans against the door frame and gives him 2 more minutes, and the thing in her chest does not go away. 3 months after Noah first climbed a flight of stairs and walked through a wrong door, Kai makes a proposal. He makes it on a Saturday morning in the kitchen of his Lincoln Park brownstone, where he has invited them for breakfast with the same directness he brings to all things. A text to Lena that says, "Breakfast Saturday, my house. Bring Noah, 9 a.m." And she accepted because she has stopped spending energy on the question of whether the things Kai proposes are things she should agree to and started spending it on the more honest question of whether she wants to. And the answer is consistently, yes. The brownstone is a 4-bedroom on a tree-lined street 3 blocks from the park. A large, quiet house that has been mostly empty since Sue died, filled with the specific silence of a space that was supposed to contain more people than it does and knows it. Noah has approved of it immediately and thoroughly, particularly the yard, which is enclosed in grass and contains a tree of sufficient height that Noah has already assessed its climbing potential and filed this for future reference. They eat on the back porch, eggs and toast, and the good coffee Kai makes with precision that Lena recognizes as the precision of someone who takes one thing at a time seriously. And after Noah has finished his eggs and migrated to the yard to continue his assessment of the tree, Kai puts his cup down and looks at her. He would like them to move into the upper 2 floors. He says it the way he says everything. Plainly, completely, without the performance of a favor being extended. The upper 2 floors have their own entrance from the side of the building, their own kitchen, their own everything. He will cover all costs. Noah will have a room and a yard and the tree and the specific quality of 4-year-old life that is supposed to include a yard and a tree. Lena will have security and stability and the freedom of a woman who is not doing the desperate math every month. In return, he asks for nothing that can be specified as a transaction. He says this clearly. He says he is aware of what it looks like. and he is asking anyway because he believes she is a person who can hear what he is actually saying and separate it from what it looks like from outside. Lena listens to all of it. She looks at Noah in the yard, both hands on the tree trunk, looking up into branches with a focused assessment of a person making a serious decision. What is it not? She asks. He meets her eyes. It is not ownership. It is not a transaction. You will owe me in ways I can collect. It is not something that changes if you decide to leave. If you leave with everything you came with in 6 months of your contract rate paid out. He pauses. I am not in the business of trapping people. The specific quality of a man who runs a criminal network, saying this is not lost on either of them. She sees him register that she has noticed it, and she sees him decide not to look away from it. I know what I am, he says quietly. I am trying to be something else also. I cannot ask you to take that on faith entirely. I can only show you what it looks like in practice. She looks at him for a long time. She thinks about conditions, the specific conditions of a woman who has learned that what protects you is knowing exactly what you agreed to. She sets them. Her own attorney reviews everything. The arrangement is fully documented. Her independence of movement and decision is absolute. She does not account to him for her time or her choices. If Noah is ever uncomfortable, they leave without consequence or discussion. The contract rate continues unchanged regardless of the personal arrangement. He agrees to every condition. 3 months after Noah first climbed a flight of stairs and walked through a wrong door, Kai makes a proposal. He makes it on a Saturday morning in the kitchen of his Lincoln Park brownstone, where he has invited them for breakfast with the same directness he brings to all things. A text to Lena that says, breakfast Saturday in my house, bring Noah, 9 a.m., and she accepted because she has stopped spending energy on the question of whether the things Kai proposes are things she should agree to and started spending it on the more honest question of whether she wants to. And the answer is consistently, yes. The brownstone is a 4-bedroom on a tree-lined street 3 blocks from the park. A large, quiet house that has been mostly empty since Sue died, filled with the specific silence of a space that was supposed to contain more people than it does and knows it. Noah has approved of it immediately and thoroughly, particularly the yard, which is enclosed in grass and contains a tree of sufficient height that Noah has already assessed its climbing potential and filed this for future reference. They eat on the back porch, eggs and toast, and the good coffee Kai makes with precision that Lena recognizes as the precision of someone who takes one thing at a time seriously. And after Noah has finished his eggs and migrated to the yard to continue his assessment of the tree, Kai puts his cup down and looks at her. He would like them to move into the upper 2 floors. He says it the way he says everything. Plainly, completely, without the performance of a favor being extended. The upper 2 floors have their own entrance from the side of the building, their own kitchen, their own everything. He will cover all costs. Noah will have a room, and the yard, and the tree, and the specific quality of a 4-year-old life that is supposed to include a yard and a tree. Lena will have security and stability, and the freedom of a woman who is not doing the desperate math every month. In return, he asks for nothing that can be specified as a transaction. He says this clearly. He says he is aware of what it looks like, and he is asking anyway because he believes she is a person who can hear what he is actually saying and separate it from what it looks like from outside. Lena listens to all of it. She looks at Noah in the yard, both hands on the tree trunk, looking up into the branches with a focused assessment of a person making a serious decision. What is it not? She asks. He meets her eyes. It is not ownership. It is not a transaction. You will owe me in ways I can collect. It is not something that changes if you decide to leave. If you leave with everything you came with in 6 months of your contract rate paid out. He pauses. I am not in the business of trapping people. The specific quality of a man who runs a criminal network, saying this is not lost on either of them. She sees him register that she has noticed it, and she sees him decide not to look away from it. I know what I am, he says quietly. I am trying to be something else also. I cannot ask you to take that on faith entirely. I can only show you what it looks like in practice. She looks at him for a long time. She thinks about conditions, the specific conditions of a woman who has learned that what protects you is knowing exactly what you agreed to. She sets them. Her own attorney reviews everything. The arrangement is fully documented. Her independence of movement and decision is absolute. She does not account to him for her time or her choices. If Noah is ever uncomfortable, they leave without consequence or discussion. The contract rate continues unchanged regardless of the personal arrangement. He agrees to every condition. Not one negotiation. Not one suggested amendment. Not one moment of performing the consideration of a man who is doing her a favor and needs her to appreciate the magnitude of it. Just yes and yes, and yes and yes. This tells her more about who Kai Voss is in 3 months of Friday afternoons. They move in on a Saturday 2 weeks later. Noah tours the upper floors with the systematic authority of a property inspector. He opens every door. He tests every window. He stands in the center of what will be his room and turns in a slow circle and makes his assessment. This is the command center, he says. Is it? Lena says. Yes, I have decided. He looks at her. We can stay. The weeks that follow have a shape she does not have a previous name for. The brownstone is warm in a way that houses are warm when they're lived in rather than occupied. Noah's drawings appear on the refrigerator downstairs because Kai puts them there without asking, which he discovers on a Tuesday morning, and stands in front of for a moment. The yard is everything a 4-year-old yard should be. Kai is present in the evenings with the consistency of a man who has decided that being present is a thing he can offer most honestly, and has organized his days around it. She learns him in the dailiness. The black coffee at 5 a.m. before anyone else is awake. She discovers this because she is also awake at 5, and they meet in the kitchen on the third morning with the specific surprise of 2 people who did not know they shared this, and then the specific comfort of people who do. The phone calls in Korean that he takes at the kitchen table, brief and low, that she does not try to understand, and he does not explain, and which he has decided are not her business until he decides they are. The way he cannot pass Noah's room without looking in a quick check, a fraction of a second, confirming something he needs to be true every single time. The way he says her name, not Marsh, not Lena from the 42nd floor, just Lena, with the weight of a man who is talking to a specific person. He learns her, the coffee she makes which is too strong, and which she drinks standing at the kitchen window, looking at the yard before she speaks to anyone in the morning. The laugh that happens before she can manage it, full and real and slightly startled, as though it has arrived ahead of her permission. The way she reads to Noah at night in a voice that is different for every character, accents and pitches, and a specific vocal commitment of a woman who believes that how you tell a story matters. The way she defends Noah's right to ask impossible questions with the quiet ferocity of someone who was told too many times as a child that her own questions were too much. They stand at the same kitchen window on opposite sides every morning for 2 weeks before either of them says anything about it. Then one morning Kai looks at her across the window and says, "We should get a second window." And she laughs before she can stop it, and after that the kitchen window is something they share rather than something they do separately in the same space. He tells her one evening that his attorney has filed paperwork moving the legitimate portion of Voss Capital into an independent structure, a clean corporate entity, separate accounts, separate governance. The first formal step of a longer process, he explains, with the careful precision of a man describing something he is not going to romanticize. He is not getting out of everything. Not yet. He is getting out of the part that requires him to be something he does not want Noah to see. She looks at him when he says Noah's name in that sentence. She looks at him carefully and precisely. "Noah," she says. He looks at her. "Yes. You said Noah, not the arrangement, not a child in the house." "Noah." "Yes," he says again. He holds her gaze. "Noah." She reaches across the kitchen counter and puts her hand over his. He goes very still, not the controlled stillness of a man who has decided how to respond. The real stillness of someone who has been reached in a place they did not expect to be reachable, whose body has stopped before the mind is caught up with what is happening. From the doorway, Noah's voice. "Finally," he says. They both look. Noah is in the doorway in his pajamas with Rex, with the expression of a 5-year-old who has been monitoring the situation for some time and is gratified to report that it has resolved in the expected direction. "Can I have water, please?" he says. They both laugh. The Real laugh. Both of them. Filling the kitchen of the Lincoln Park brownstone with the sound of 2 people who are not performing anything for anyone. And Kai gets up to get the water, and Lena watches him cross the kitchen. and thinks that Noah has always known things before she does. She thinks she should probably start listening to him sooner. Kai travels to Portland on a Tuesday. He tells Lena he has a meeting. He tells her it is important. He tells her he will be back Thursday. He does not tell her what the meeting is because he does not want to ask her to carry information that costs something to carry. Not yet, not until he knows what the information is going to become. He goes alone, which he has not done for anything significant in years. No Marcus, no security rotation. Just Kai Voss on a 6M flight to Portland with carry-on, and the drawing Noah Hannon at the door, a building with all its lights on, 2 stick figures at a high window, a sky full of careful 4-year-old stars. Across the top, in the laborious capital letters of a child who is still learning how letters work, K.I. and Noah count the lights. He puts it in his jacket pocket without being asked. Portland is chosen specifically because it is outside Kai's network territory entirely, neutral ground, observable by neither side's connections. His attorney has arranged a meeting through channels that are preliminary and deniable, which means if it goes nowhere cleanly. If it goes somewhere that has been prepared for carefully and without improvisation. The federal prosecutor's office operates out of a building in the Pearl District that looks like every other federal building. Institutional, deliberate, slightly worn. Kai sits across the table from 2 people who have spent a combined 30 years making cases against people like him, and he answers their questions with the complete honesty of a man who has made a decision and is not going to negotiate the terms of it. What he is offering is substantial. What he is asking for is proportional. The conversation takes 4 hours, and at the end of it, the lead prosecutor, a woman who has not smiled once in 4 hours, tells him they will be in contact. Her tone carries a specific quality of someone who means this and is not performing it. Kai flies back Thursday morning. He comes through the gate of the Lincoln Park brownstone at 4:15 in the afternoon. Noah is at the front gate. He has been there since 2 p.m. Lena knows this because she has checked 7 times, once every 15 minutes, since he positioned himself there after lunch with Rex's arms and his jacket on, fully prepared for the duration. She brought him a snack at 2:30. He ate it without taking his eyes off the gate. Kai comes through the gate, and Noah launches himself. He launches himself with the absolute full-body certainty of a 4-year-old for whom being caught is not a possibility under consideration, but a physical law, as dependable as gravity, as certain as the morning. Kai catches him. He holds him the way you hold something you understand the full value of, the way you hold something that has changed the accounting of your life, in ways you are still discovering. He holds Noah for a long time at the gate in the late Chicago afternoon. Lena watches from the porch. That evening after Noah is asleep, they can hear him through the monitor, the even certain breath of a child who has seen Kai come to the gate and has filed this under things that are okay, which is the only category he needs. Kai sits across from Lena at the kitchen table and tells her about Portland. He tells her all of it. The meeting, the building, the 2 prosecutors, the 4 hours, what he offered and what he asked for in return, and what the process looks like from here, how long it takes, what it requires, what it costs him in terms of the network and his position in it, and the specific economics of dismantling something from the inside out. He tells her this without softening it, and without asking her to celebrate it. He tells her because she deserves the full picture of the life she is in, and because he is done being someone who keeps important things in separate rooms. Then he tells her something else. He tells her that on the plane to Portland at 6 in the morning, with a drawing in his jacket pocket and the city disappearing below the clouds, he thought about her, not in a complicated way. In the simplest way, he thought that he wanted to tell her about it, that she was the person he wanted to tell, that the specific instinct to share the most significant decision of the last 5 years with her, and not with anyone else in the structure of his life, was not something he could continue to categorize as practical or professional or the natural consequence of living in the same house. He tells her he is not asking her to decide anything tonight. He is telling her because she is a person who deserves honesty before she is asked for anything, and that is the kind of man he is trying to be, and she is part of the reason he is trying. Lena looks at him across the kitchen table. She thinks about a supply room on the 41st floor, and a door that did not latch, and her son's small feet on carpeted stairs, and everything that followed from one wrong door on one right night. She thinks about Spider-Man and the cactus named Gerald, and the kitchen window, and the drawing on the refrigerator that was not there on Monday and was there on Tuesday without explanation. She thinks about yes and yes and yes and yes. I know, she says. He looks at her. I have known for a while, she says. I was waiting to see if he would say it. I am saying it. I know, she says. I am glad. Something in his face does the thing it does when Noah reaches him. Bypasses everything. Opens completely. Shows her the man underneath the stillness and control and the specific weight of being Kai Voss. Just him. Just this. I got there, he says. You did, she says. They marry 14 months later on a Wednesday morning in March. A judge, a small room, 12 people. Noah in a dark suit that he assessed in the mirror for exactly 4 minutes. She timed it before declaring it correct, specifically noting that the lapels were the right size, which is a criteria he has apparently developed. No press, no announcement, no performance for anyone who is not in the room, just the thing itself. Stated plainly, the way Kai does everything that matters. At the dinner after, a private room in a restaurant Noah approved on the grounds that it had good bread. Noah stands on his chair. No one asks him to. He simply stands up with his glass of apple juice because he has observed that adults do this at occasions and understand that what follows is important. The table goes quiet with the specific, immediate quiet of people who have spent enough time with Noah to understand that when he has something to say, it is worth hearing. I woke up one night, he says, and I climbed the stairs and I found Kai, and Kai was sad. He looks at Kai across the table with the direct, serious eyes that have looked at every room he has ever entered and seen exactly what is there. I told him what my mom says, that people we lose don't really go away. They just go somewhere we can't see yet. A pause. He holds Rex a little tighter. I think Sue sent me, because you needed someone to find you, and I found you. He looks around the table. So that is good. The table is completely silent. Kai looks at this boy, 5 years old, in a suit with correctly sized lapels, holding a stuffed dinosaur, having just said the truest thing spoken in this room. And the thing happens, the thing that happens when Noah reaches him. And this time he does not try to contain it. It moves through his face completely, and he lets it. Lena does not try to stop the tears. She gave up on that somewhere around the lapel assessment, and she is fine with it. The cooperation with the federal prosecutor's office concludes formally 19 months after Portland. The case it enables is considerably larger than Kai's portion of it, which is the architecture of cooperation, which is why it works. Voss Capital is restructured as a legitimate holdings and real estate firm. The network is not Kai's anymore. He is not free in the simple story-ending sense of the word. He is free in the specific sense of a man who has paid what he owes, honestly and completely, and is standing on the other side of the payment. He builds things now. A development company, small, deliberate, focused on vacant Chicago properties that nobody has found a reason to invest in. He takes them and makes them into something. Affordable units. Commercial space for small businesses. A community center 3 blocks from where Lena used to park the cleaning cart. The first building he completes, he names Sue. He names it Sue and puts a crane above the entrance in black iron and stands across the street on the day it opens and looks at it for a long time. Noah stands beside him. He is holding Rex. He looks at the building and he looks at the crane and he looks at Kai. Good, he says. Sue will like that. I think so too, Kai says. Noah nods. He files this. He takes Kai's hand. They stand there together on the sidewalk in the morning light and look at the building named for someone who went somewhere they cannot see yet, and neither of them says anything else because nothing else needs to be said. 3 months after the wedding, on a Tuesday morning, Lena is in the kitchen at 6 a.m. Her coffee, the window, the yard, which has a swing set now because Noah assessed the yard deficiencies in November and submitted his findings. The particular quiet of the house before anyone else is awake. The doorbell rings. She crosses the kitchen. She goes through the hall. She opens the front door. A man stands on the step. He is in his early 30s, light skin, dark brown hair, blue eyes. Noah's eyes. Noah's jaw. The specific geometry of his face is a geometry she's been looking at for 4 years in her son's face without being able to name where it came from. And now she is looking at where it came from, and he is standing on her front step in a good jacket, on a Tuesday morning, holding a printout of a wedding announcement from a Chicago society blog. He found her on a Thursday evening 3 days ago when a friend forwarded him the link without context, just thought you might know her, and he opened it and saw her face and the name beside it and the small dark-haired blue-eyed boy in the suit in the background taking a bow. And he sat very still for a long time. He knew her first name. Only her first name, a name he has said to himself at different times over the past 5 years in the specific way of people who are trying to find a thread back to something. He looked for her. Twice. Seriously. Genuinely. Once a year after, when the absence of her had become something he noticed too often to ignore, and once 2 years after that, with a private investigator who spent 3 weeks finding nothing, because a first name and a face, and a bar that closed down 6 months later is not a sufficient basis for locating a person in a city of 3 million people. The wedding announcement had her full name, Lena Marsh. 2 words. That was all he needed. He looks at her. His expression carries 5 years of something. She cannot read all of it yet. There is too much of it, and it is too complicated, and she has not had enough coffee. But she can read enough to know that what she is looking at is not performance. It is a man who has been carrying something and has arrived at the only place he could put it down. Lena, he says, I did not know. I want you to know that first. I did not know. His jaw tightened slightly. And I looked. I need you to know that too. I looked, and I cannot find you, and I am here now because 3 days ago I finally could. She stares at him. From upstairs, through the ceiling, through the floorboards of the command center, Noah's voice, bright and morning certain, and entirely himself, calling for his mom the way he calls every morning, the sound that has been the most constant thing in her life for 5 years, loud, specific, completely confident that she is there and will come. The man on the step hears it. His eyes move from her face toward the sound, toward the ceiling, toward the upstairs, toward the voice, and something crosses his face that she has never seen on a stranger's face before and recognizes immediately, because she has seen it every Friday afternoon for months on the face of a man sitting cross-legged on a 42nd floor carpet holding a Spider-Man figure. She does not move from the doorway. She does not speak. She stands in the doorway of the Lincoln Park brownstone that is her home, hers, documented, conditions met, independence intact. And she looks at this man who has Noah's eyes and 5 years of something on his face and a printout in his hand. And she breathes and she waits. Behind her, from upstairs, Noah calls again. Mom. She does not move from the doorway. To be continued. Thank you so much for watching this story on Echo True Stories. If this story moved you, if Noah made you smile, if Kai made you believe, if that ending has your heart in your chest right now, please smash that like button, subscribe to Echo True Stories, and share this video with everyone you know, because part 2 is coming, and you do not want to miss a single second of it. Drop a comment right now. What do you think Noah's father is going to do? And did Sue really send Noah? We read every single comment. See you in part 2. Do not go anywhere.